to save it. We were looking at the Rebbeinu B'chaye commentary on this week's Parsha Vayera, where the last aliyah of the Torah of the Parsha discusses the Aked of Yitzchak, the binding of Yitzchak, which that's what we're going to read about on Rosh Hashana. On Rosh Hashana, this past Rosh Hashana, the first day of Rosh Hashana, we read this portion of the Aked of Yitzchak, of the binding of Yitzchak, and how the Rebbeinu B'chaye says the point of the test is for what purpose? Is for the person to pass the test, to show his great love, for Hashem, and as a result of that, we're living off of the Akedah. Every year, every generation, we're protected because of the Akedah, because of what Avram did. Being he's our ancestor, we come from him. We benefit from that Akedah Yitzchak. And he said, the Rebbeinu B'chaye says that the point of the test of the Akedah was an actualization, was to bring out, to show to the world the great responsibility we have to have fear of Hashem. The mitzvah in the Torah, et Hashem l'kecha tira. You have to be in awe of Hashem. You have to have a certain fear of Hashem. Therefore, it's brought down when you pray, every time you say Hashem's name, you're supposed to have a focus, not to just say it without thinking, because there's a lack of Yiras Shamayim. So to make known, to publicize in the world the great responsibility we have to love Hashem and fear Hashem, and that's what we're going to see from Abraham. We're going to see from Abraham his great awe and his great love of Hashem. And that's going to be a lesson for the world and all generations. And the Ramban emphasized how every person has bechira. Hashem gives us choice to make the right choices or to make wrong choices. And the right choices will be great reward, and the wrong choices will be punishment. And here Hashem wanted Avram, of course, to make the right choice. Hashem knows Avram's going to make the right choice. He wanted it to bring an actualization of Avram's abilities to act. There's koach el poel, an actualization, as we said, of his abilities, of his strength, of his talent, of his love. So the fact that you might love Hashem, but if you never have the ability to express it in its fullest, you're not going to be able to, you didn't actualize, you didn't show how much you love Hashem. But here, he's going to get tremendous reward, not just to have reward in the heart, the Ramban said. My heart is with Hashem. My actions with Hashem. Look at this action that he did, willing to take his child. So they're back to the Rebbeinu B'chaye. The Akedah, the binding of Yitzchak, Avram showed his great love, how strong it was. And he says, you can't compare it, he says you can't even compare it for somebody who is willing to give their life for their master, or they're willing to give their life for someone that they love. Because Avraham, he says this test wasn't like other tests. This is a test that naturally a person cannot handle. A person cannot think, cannot fathom. That a person who was 100 years old, who has wealth and property and honor, and he desired a child with a tremendous desire. He wanted a child. He wanted a son. And he had this son after pretty much he was an old man. He didn't think he was going to have any more children. And the great love that he has for that child, and then the love even was compounded at when the baby was 1 year old. When Yitzchak was good morning, Asaf, the time he's 1 year old, from when he was 8 days old. And then it becomes, because as the child grows older, the love becomes more, and then it was 5 and 10 times more. And then when it was 5 years old or 10 years old, the love is even more than when he was 1 year old, because he already was shown to know, he already became a mature adult, be able to understand what's good from bad. And then the love even became more when he became close to 40 years old, where a person, it says in Pirkei Avos, 40 is the binah. 40, you reach an age that your mind, that your intellectual, your understanding is able, you're able to be in full completion in your understanding and your wisdom, so to speak. And Yitzchak was 37. So I say at this point, he was close to the time to reach that level of understanding of 40. He was 37 at the time of the binding of Yitzchak. And then the challenge becomes even more when Hashem commands Avraham to slaughter his son with his own hands. How do you like that, Asaf? That is unbelievable. And no, Hashem never wanted to slaughter his son, but he thought, Avraham thought that Hashem wanted to slaughter his son. And Avraham, because he was complete in his emunah in Hashem, and even though he had, good morning, Aaron, Avraham had such great love for Yitzchak, he understood that his love of God should win over his love of Yitzchak. And the great love that he had for Hashem, you can imagine the strength of that love, was able to overcome his love for his son Yitzchak, and he was ready to slaughter him. And Hashem said, you know, Lech Lecha, he didn't say, you know, do it right away. It was it took 3 days. It was on the third day that now he's ready, he reaches the place. But if he would have had the slaughter Yitzchak right away, so it would have been done in a very fast fashion without really thinking too much. But Avram had almost 3 days. So on the third day, to think about it and to digest the whole thing. So when he did it, he was of whole mind when he was ready to do it. And then he brings the Medrash. The Medrash says, why on the third day? Why did Hashem say on the third day, oh, Avram should slaughter Yitzchak? Why on the first day that Hashem told him to take him? Why didn't he tell him immediately where to go, make it very fast, and do it right away? So the Medrash says, because the nations of the world would say, you know, he was just, you know, he was taken aback and he just did it on the spot. He was under his confusion. So therefore, it was done. Hashem gave him the time, 3 days. So when he did it with right sound and mind, so to speak, he was ready to do it. And he also says over here, when Hashem says, Ati Adati, now I know that you're God-fearing. Aaron, we're talking about the binding of Yitzchak. Avram's willingness to take Yitzchak and to slaughter him if necessary. But Hashem did not want him to be slaughtered. But it was his test to bring out, it wasn't a test there. Some professors test the students that they should fail. Hashem was testing Avram not that he should fail, that he should win. That he knows he's going to win, and to bring out his abilities, his love in this action. And look at the diligence of Avraham. He could have taken many people with him. He only took to help him out. He wanted to do it himself. He went with Shnei Narav. He went with Yishmael and Eliezer. And this is the great. And also he didn't want even those 2 people, Eliezer and Yishmael. He told them when he got to the place, you guys stay back. I'm going with Yitzchak. And why was that? Because they shouldn't stop him. Maybe they would stop him from slaughtering Yitzchak. So we see this is the amazing love of Avraham. And I just want to say the fact that Avraham had such love for Hashem, and it gave into us, it implanted in us also as well a great love for Hashem. I think that's something that we need to realize about that. Okay, now we got that introduction about this week's parsha. So when you read about the last aliyah about the binding of Yitzchak, now hopefully you have a better appreciation of the test that Avram was tested and the purpose of the test, and it should be an inspiration to show how far a person could go in his fear of Hashem and his love of Hashem. So maybe when people are tested, not such big test that most people are not given that type of test to do to their own son, and therefore they're given other tests, and they have to be realized that they have the ability to pass that test. Test is given you to pass that test. You got to just figure out how to pass the test. So people have to realize. Okay, we are on Lamed Dalet Amen Aleph. We are on 34a. Right? In the Art Scroll, we are on 34a2. Right? Everybody got it? So what we were discussing in the